She's not confused. She's calculating. And every time you fall for it, she wins. You text back fast. You explain your feelings. You overinvest. You forgive without accountability. You keep hoping she'll change, but she doesn't, because she doesn't need to. You already gave her all your power. Comment, no more games if you're ready to reclaim control. Number 1. Define your boundaries and stick to them. You don't need to tell her your boundaries. You need to live them without flinching, without needing applause, without hoping for approval, and without falling back into the trap of performing for someone who treats your dignity like an option. Because the second you allow her to step over a single line without consequence, you teach her that your standards are temporary, that your backbone is flexible, that your self-respect is negotiable. And the brutal truth is, women do not respect words, they respect outcomes. They test not because they're evil, but because they want to know who you are beneath the persona, beneath the romantic gestures, beneath the fake strength you show her in the beginning. She wants to see what happens when you're challenged, what you do when your pride is on the line, when she ghosts you for 2 days and comes back like nothing happened, and you accept it with a nervous laugh and a quick reply just to stay in her good graces. You've already lost, because now she knows you fear her walking away more than you value your own peace. And from that moment on, your relationship becomes a negotiation where you lose every time. And the sad part is, you think being kind, being nice, being understanding makes you a better man, when all it's doing is teaching her how to manipulate you, how to bend your limits until they break, and you wonder why she never takes your words seriously, why she doesn't believe you'll leave, why she keeps pushing boundaries and playing games. It's because you trained her that way, and the only way out of this trap is to stop talking and start withdrawing, not in rage, not to punish, but because the moment you make a rule and she breaks it, you disappear. No argument, no drama, no second chance. You let your actions say everything, and now the dynamic changes. Now she sees you don't flinch. You don't compromise your values for affection. You don't need her validation to feel whole. And that right there flips the power, not by force, but by detachment, by certainty, by discipline, because boundaries without consequences are nothing but empty threats, and the world doesn't respect empty threats. It respects follow-through. And a man who lives by principles will always be rare and attractive, because in a world full of men who fold for attention, she'll remember the one who didn't, not because he yelled, not because he punished, but because he vanished the second his piece was played with. And if you can master that, being emotionally calm yet unshakably firm, you become a different kind of man, the kind who doesn't need to prove anything because everything about him speaks of order, self-trust, and inner alignment. And this kind of man doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't tolerate chaos disguised as love, because he understands that love without respect is just dependence, and relationships without boundaries are just emotional quicksand. And when you live by this code, you stop trying to change her and you start choosing better, because boundaries don't change people. They reveal them. And once you see her for who she really is, you don't need closure. You don't need explanations. You just need to keep walking and never look back. And once you do, you never go back. Because now you operate from principle, not emotion, from structure, not reaction. And if that clicked for you, if something in your gut knows you've tolerated too much for too long, then it's time to go deeper. And that's exactly why I created the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, an audiobook built for men who are done being confused, done being emotionally tossed around, and finally ready to live by unshakable standards. It's packed with timeless Stoic principles that will transform how you show up in relationships and in life instantly. And the best part, it's now available in audiobook form, so you can absorb these truths while taking a walk, jogging, or building your day. No distractions, no excuses. This book will always be yours, permanently in your pocket, in your ears, in your life. Because the man who listens who reflects and applies, becomes untouchable. Link is pinned in the comments. Get it while you still can. Number 2. Pull back your investment. She doesn't fall for your effort, she falls for your energy. And the second she senses you're giving more than she is, the game ends and she wins. Because women don't fall in love with men who give them everything up front. They fall in love with the men who make them earn it. And this doesn't mean playing games. It means understanding your value, understanding the psychological truth that what is easily obtained is easily discarded, and most men sabotage themselves by overgiving before a woman has proven anything. They send paragraphs, voice notes, buy gifts, cancel plans, rearrange their lives for a woman who hasn't earned their time, hasn't earned their vulnerability, hasn't shown any consistency. And then they wonder why she starts pulling back, becoming cold, distracted, emotionally unavailable. It's because she feels suffocated, not loved. Because your neediness reeks of self-abandonment. Your eagerness becomes unattractive. Your intensity becomes pressure. And instead of wondering why she's acting different, you need to start asking why you're over-investing in someone who hasn't even shown you basic respect. And the truth is, men give so much because they fear they won't be chosen unless they prove their worth. But the irony is the moment you start proving yourself, you disqualify yourself because nothing valuable needs to beg for recognition. It simply is. And women sense when a man is moving from emptiness, from emotional dependence, from seeking identity through her approval, and they exploit that even if unconsciously. And that's why when you stop giving her everything and start matching energy, you take back your power, not by manipulation, but by awareness. You stop texting first. You stop offering help unasked. You stop showing up like she's your purpose. And instead, you redirect that energy inward, towards your body, your goals, your money, your mental focus. And as your energy shifts, something magical happens. She feels it. She senses your detachment, your focus, your calm, and now the tables turn. Now she starts texting first, wondering where your attention went, trying to reclaim the position she once had without effort. And if you do this from a place of strength, not to provoke, but to protect your energy, you become unshakable because your self-worth is no longer tied to her response. Your peace is no longer traded for her attention, and you no longer crave someone who gives you crumbs because you've learned to feed yourself first. And now when you engage, it's from overflow, not neediness. And she either matches you or she fades. And either way, you win because you're no longer dependent on her affection for your identity. You've built a life so complete that her presence is a bonus, not a necessity. And that energy, that independence, that self-assurance is what makes her want to stay, not because she has to, but because she respects what you built without her. And that respect is earned only by pulling back your investment and demanding reciprocity without saying a word. Number 3, focus entirely on your own life. The moment you stop making her the center of your world is the moment everything begins to shift in your favor, because when you orbit around her decisions, her moods, her inconsistencies, you slowly shrink into a version of yourself that exists only for her approval, and you start forgetting what your purpose was before she came around, what your goals were, who you were building yourself to become. And now your time is chopped into fragments of waiting for her text, waiting for her to call, waiting for her to stop being cold, waiting for her to finally say she loves you back. And in that waiting, you lose momentum, you lose hunger, you lose that fire that once made you walk with direction. And now you sit scrolling your phone, trying to decode messages that don't deserve your time. And deep down, you know this isn't who you're supposed to be. Because a man who makes a woman his mission becomes invisible to himself and to her. Because women are not drawn to a man who centers her. They're drawn to a man so obsessed with building that she has to earn her way into his focus. And that's not arrogance, That's order, because your life is your highest duty. And when you stop chasing distractions and start building with tunnel vision, everything around you changes, not just her behavior, but your presence, your tone, your habits, your routine, your language, your confidence. Everything becomes sharper, leaner, more defined, and you begin to move like someone with weight, with pull. Not because you're trying to prove something, but because your direction is so clear, there's no room for confusion, and this clarity radiates power in a way that words never could. It says, I'm not waiting for your attention. I'm becoming someone who commands it without asking. I'm not desperate for your love. I'm creating a life so full that love becomes a byproduct, not a necessity. And this shift doesn't just attract better women. It filters out the ones who only wanted a puppet, someone easy to manipulate, someone they could make feel guilty for doing less while giving nothing in return. And you stop allowing that when you put your focus on your fitness, on your money, on your skills, on your mind, on your daily discipline, on your future. And this is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming unshakable, because you finally understand that she is not the prize, your mission is. And the more you align yourself with that mission, the more peace you gain. Not because women are bad, but because chasing the wrong ones will leave you empty, drained and resentful, while chasing your purpose fills you with a level of energy no woman could ever provide. And the irony is, when you truly stop seeking her approval and start seeking your own evolution, that's when she sees the difference. When she sees you're not the man who waits anymore, you're the man who creates, and suddenly she's trying to re-enter your world. But you don't stop for her because you've already become someone too focused to notice breadcrumbs. And that's the man you were supposed to be all along. Not reactive, not desperate, not available to confusion, but fully consumed by becoming everything you were meant to become with or without her. And when you live like this, women don't lead you, they follow you. Number 4, seek clarity, not concessions. She says she likes you but needs time. She says she's not ready but doesn't want to lose you. She says you're amazing but something just feels off. And you sit there overanalyzing her words like they're sacred, when in reality, they're just smoke meant to keep you confused and chasing and hoping that one day she wakes up and loves you clearly, but she won't. Because the second you start asking for clarity and accepting anything less, you become complicit in your own manipulation, because no one who truly values you leaves you guessing. No one who's serious gives you mixed signals. But here you are, making excuses for her silence, for her disappearing acts, for her emotional mood swings, thinking that if you just love her harder, she'll finally give you the certainty you crave. But she won't, because she's not confused. She's comfortable knowing you'll stick around regardless of the ambiguity, regardless of the inconsistency. And the more you tolerate that, the more she loses respect for you, because a man who needs answers but stays without them is a man who's afraid of walking away, and fear kills attraction faster than anything else. So when you ask for clarity, you must mean it, not as a plea, but as a decision. And when her answer is vague, you don't argue or explain or fight for her to see your value. You accept that vagueness as a clear answer in itself, and you leave, because the longer you stay trying to negotiate your worth, the less of it you'll have left. And the painful truth is, some women don't want a relationship. They want a fan, a therapist, a placeholder, someone to keep them entertained while they figure out who they really want. And if you don't remove yourself from that equation early, you'll end up broken, confused, and emotionally bankrupt while she walks away untouched and indifferent, because you gave her everything while she gave you maybe. And a man should never settle for maybe, because maybe is just a slow no. And if you're serious about your peace, about your direction, about building something real, you need to draw a hard line between potential and reality, and only engage with what's mutual, what's aligned, what's consistent, because anything else is a distraction wrapped in a compliment. And the way to build this standard isn't through anger or confrontation. It's through discipline, through the to walk away at the first sign of emotional instability or unclear intent, because your time is sacred, your energy is sacred, your peace is not up for debate, and every minute you spend decoding her mood swings is a minute you could be using to level up your life. And when you master this, when you become a man who only allows clarity into his space, you stop getting strung along, you stop getting drained, and you start attracting women who show up with the same decisiveness you carry in every other area of your life. And that's the man you need to be, not just for your relationships, but for your future, for your legacy, for your ability to live with dignity and sleep with peace. Because clarity is not just a standard, it's a requirement, and anything less than that is the beginning of your own slow destruction dressed as romance. Number 5. Don't chase her attention. Every time you respond instantly to her breadcrumbs, every time you double text after she goes cold, every time you compliment her just to bring the warmth back, you reinforce the exact behavior that's keeping you trapped, because she doesn't want your full love. She wants your partial obsession, your attention on tap, your interest just enough to feed her ego, but never enough to make her commit. And the moment you realize that not every smile is sincere, not every response is a sign of hope, and not every compliment is a step forward, is the moment you start reclaiming your sanity, because she knows exactly what she's doing when she posts that picture after ignoring you for days. She knows what she's doing when she suddenly responds after you start to move on, when she sends that dry hey, or likes your story 2 weeks after ghosting you. And the worst part is, you still fall for it. You still chase. You still believe it means something, when in reality it's nothing more than a test to see if she still controls your mind. And when you jump to respond, when you rush to engage, you confirm everything. She still owns your focus, she still has your attention, and she didn't have to do anything to earn it. And that's the problem, because attention is currency, and you keep giving it away for free to someone who treats your energy like an afterthought. And the harsh truth is most men have no idea how much power they give away just by trying to stay relevant in a woman's mind. They comment, they message, they overanalyze, they change who they are just to fit into her preference, and the entire time they believe they're playing the game right, when in reality they're just another name in her inbox getting used for validation. And that's exactly why you have to stop chasing attention, not just from her but from anyone, because the man who moves in silence, who stays on his path, who doesn't break his routine for distractions, becomes rare. And rarity is powerful because most people are addicted to being seen, being liked, being needed. And when you detach from that addiction, when you stop reacting to her every move and start responding only to actions backed by consistency, everything changes. Not just with her, but with yourself. Your discipline sharpens, your energy refocuses, your decisions become more grounded, and now instead of being thrown off every time she disappears, you barely notice, not because you don't care, but because your priorities are bigger than her games, and now she starts to feel it. That distance, that calm detachment, that shift from obsession to indifference, and suddenly you're not the one seeking approval. You're the one she's trying to understand again, the one she can't read, the one she can't manipulate, because your attention is no longer for sale, it's earned. And that's the standard most men will never reach because they're too addicted to short-term comfort, to the illusion of progress, to the dopamine hit of a reply, and they sacrifice their self-worth just to feel seen by someone who never truly valued them. And if you want to escape this cycle, you have to become so focused on your growth that her silence becomes irrelevant, her breadcrumbs become laughable, her tactics become transparent, because now you see the pattern. And once you see the pattern, it loses its power, and now your energy stays with you, your peace stays intact, your goals move forward, and you stop being her emotional puppet and start becoming the man who doesn't chase presence. He commands it by showing up for himself every single day, whether she's watching or not. And the day you stop giving energy to what doesn't return, it is the day you stop losing. Number 6. Accept her behavior as it is. You keep thinking she'll change if you just love her better, if you're more patient, more loyal, more available, more forgiving. You think the problem is your tone, your timing, your expectations, and because she never takes accountability, you end up taking it for both of you, and every time she ignores your boundaries, disrespects your effort, mocks your emotions, pulls back after getting what she wants, and gives you the silent treatment like it's a weapon, you convince yourself that she's just going through something, that she just needs space, that she's healing. But the truth is she's not confused, she's consistent, and it's you who refuses to see the pattern, because the pattern doesn't match the fantasy you built in your head of who she could be if only she'd stop doing what she always does. And the longer you hold on to that illusion, the longer you stay stuck trying to fix someone who's not broken. They're just selfish, and she's not disrespecting you by accident. She's doing it because it works, because you allow it, because she knows you'll stay. And once a woman knows you'll stay no matter how she treats you, she has no incentive to change, because you've already shown her that her behavior doesn't affect your presence. And now your presence is no longer a gift. It's a guarantee. And the most tragic thing is you think your loyalty is strength, when all it's doing is teaching her that she can mistreat you without consequence. And if you're honest with yourself, you know this isn't love, it's survival. It's fear of starting over, fear of being alone, fear of admitting that the person you wanted so badly is actually incapable of real connection, and that fear keeps you in a cycle of false hope, where every apology feels like a restart, every breadcrumb feels like proof, every kiss feels like redemption, and yet nothing changes because she's not showing you love. She's showing you how much she can take from you without losing access. And if you really want to change this, you have to stop arguing with her words and start accepting her behavior, because words are easy, but patterns are undeniable. And the sooner you stop trying to make sense of why she does what she does and start asking why you continue to allow it, the sooner you reclaim your power. And the most powerful move isn't calling her out or threatening to leave or trying to explain how she makes you feel. The real power is when you finally stop reacting, stop hoping, stop explaining, and simply detach, because acceptance isn't weakness, it's clarity. And when you finally accept that this is who she is, without trying to soften it, without trying to justify it, without needing her to admit it, that's when the spell breaks. And now you're no longer in a relationship, you're in reality. And in reality, a woman who disrespects you once will do it again. A woman who lies once will lie again. And a woman who only shows up when she needs something is not confused. She's calculated, and if you keep negotiating with what you already know is a dead end, you don't get to complain when you end up lost. And yes, it hurts to accept that someone you gave everything to never valued it, but it hurts more to keep giving to someone who's already decided your worth. And when you start trusting what people do instead of what they say, your life simplifies, your circle tightens, your standards rise, and your peace returns. Because now you don't argue, you observe, you don't react, you decide, you don't hope, you move. And this is the shift that turns you from a man chasing closure to a man who lives with it, because he doesn't need them to see it, or admit it, or fix it. He only needs to see it for himself. And once you do, you never go back. Number 7, be willing to walk away. You say you want respect. You say you want peace. You say you want loyalty. But the moment it's time to enforce those values by walking away, you hesitate, you freeze, you look back hoping she chases, hoping she texts, hoping she gives you a reason to stay. And that hesitation is the very reason you stay stuck, because no matter how many books you read, no matter how many videos you watch, nothing changes until you learn to walk away, not just physically but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, completely, and not because you're angry or bitter or trying to prove a point, but because you finally realize that staying is the most expensive decision you'll ever make when the person you're with is subtracting from your life and adding nothing of value but confusion, stress, and silence when you need clarity the most. And the truth is, you can't be respected by someone who sees you tolerate what breaks you, and the longer you stay hoping she'll see your worth, the more invisible you become to yourself. And you know it deep down. You feel it every time she gives you less and you accept it, every time she dismisses your needs and you minimize it, every time she disrespects your presence and you defend it. You feel it because it eats away at your identity piece by piece until you don't recognize who you've become. And that's the moment you have to choose. Stay and shrink or leave and grow, because every step you take away from someone who doesn't value you is a step back toward who you were before they made you question your worth. And I'm not talking about walking away with a dramatic exit or begging for closure or trying to get them to understand what they did wrong, because the power isn't in making them see, it's in knowing you don't need them to. And when you finally let go of the outcome, when you stop clinging to the idea of who they could have been if they changed, if they healed, if they woke up, you begin to breathe again. And that breath is your power returning, because now you're not waiting, you're not chasing, you're not entertaining maybes. You're building, moving, deciding. And most men never reach this point, not because they don't want to, but because they attach their identity to the relationship, to being chosen, to being the one who stayed through it all. And that attachment becomes a prison disguised as loyalty. And the only way out is through painful clarity, where you stop asking what she's doing and start asking why you're still there when she's already shown you everything you need to know. And yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, you'll miss her. Yes, you'll question your decision at night when the silence is loud. But that pain is temporary. That doubt is a detox. That heartbreak is a clearing out of everything that no longer serves you. And the man who walks away clean doesn't just escape the woman. He escapes the version of himself that thought love meant suffering, that thought connection required tolerance, that thought being a man meant enduring emotional punishment in silence and calling it strength. And from the moment you walk, the real work begins, not in forgetting her, but in remembering you, in rebuilding your focus, your habits, your circle, your mission, your foundation. Because walking away isn't the end. It's the beginning, the rebirth of a man who no longer trades his peace for potential, a man who doesn't chase love that costs him his self-worth, a man who would rather be alone and free than attached and slowly destroyed. And that man, he doesn't beg, doesn't settle, doesn't chase. He chooses. And only when you become that man can you attract peace that feels like home and love that doesn't come at the price of your soul. If you've made it this far, it means deep down, you know you've been giving too much, staying too long, and hoping too hard in places that only drain you. And the truth is, society doesn't want you to find this. They'd rather you stay lost, chasing women who disrespect you, confused about your worth, and apologizing for having standards. But that ends now. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint audiobook is now available. Timeless Stoic principles, just the cold, clear truths that will realign your life forever. Listen while walking, training, or building your goals. This book will be yours for life, a voice in your ear that keeps you sharp, grounded, and untouchable. It's pinned in the comments. If you're ready to rise above confusion and claim your peace, comment, "I lead, not chase," hit like, and subscribe to help more men wake up before they waste another decade chasing women who were never worth the pain.